triangle of vectors. So in this triangle of vector addition, yesterday we completed addition of vectors by using parallelogram law. Today we are going to discuss addition of vectors by using triangle law and also addition of vectors by using polygons law. So now first, what is the statement of triangle law? If two vectors can be represented both in magnitude and direction by the two sides of a triangle taken in one order, then their resultant is represented both in magnitude and direction by the third side of the triangle taken in the opposite order. First, we take two vectors. They are arranged two sides of a triangle in one direction, in one order. Then the closing side of triangle represents their resultant both in magnitude and direction. So now consider two vectors p bar and q bar. These two vectors are represented along the two sides of a triangle which are taken in one order. So now first we have to displace these two vectors by using translational property. So we can displace either vector p bar, either vector q bar. Let's say I am displacing the vector p bar. So I am displacing the vector p bar. Just I am displacing. It's a p bar and it's q bar. So, or we can displace the vector, it's a p bar. So it forms displace the vector p bar. So how we displace the vector? So we displace it like this. So that means these two are in the same direction in one order. This is the vector p bar, vector p bar. Just we displace the p bar like this and this we added to the head of the p bar. So this is came like this, right? Now these p vector and q vector makes an angle theta. So these two are in the one order. Head of the first vector is tail of second vector, so in the same direction. Then the closing side, that means tail of first vector to head of second vector. This represents the resultant of the two vectors. Resultant of two vectors, both magnitude and direction. This is the r bar. This equals to p bar plus it's a q bar. Here theta, this is pi minus theta, it's alpha. So this is the beta. So now we are going to find magnitude of resultant. Magnitude of resultant. Magnitude of resultant. By using cosine rule. Using cosine rule, so we can write like this. R equals to P square plus Q square minus 2PQ cos 180 minus theta. So using cosine rule we are writing. So this R square equals to P square plus Q square cos 180 minus theta second quadrant. So cos becomes minus, minus of minus plus. So plus 2PQ cos theta. And now R equals to root over P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. This is the resultant formula. Next, magnitude of resultant, magnitude of direction of resultant. Direction of resultant. So this can be using, we can find using the cosine rule. So that we got the formula tan beta equals to Q sin theta by P plus Q cos theta. This is the formula. So two vectors are represented, two sides of triangle in one direction, in one order. Then the closing side in opposite direction, these are in this direction, but the closing side is in this direction, gives the resultant of these two vectors. So this is the parallelogram triangle of vector addition. Right, we are going to discuss Polygon's law of vector addition. So we can add vectors by using Polygon's law, more than two vectors by using Polygon's law. So now what is the statement of Polygon's law? If a number of vectors can be represented both in magnitude and direction by the sides of a polygon taken in the same order, then the resultant is represented in magnitude and direction by the closing sides of the polygon taken in the opposite direction. That means, suppose we consider 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the different vectors. These 5 vectors are arranged in the 5 sides of a polygon in same order, in the same order. Then the sixth side is taken in the reverse order, opposite order. So this represents the resultant of all these forces. So now how I am going to represent? This is the A bar, it's A bar, it's A bar. Just I displace the vector like this, it's A bar. Next to B bar, I displace the vector B bar. Next to C bar, I displace the vector C bar. Next to D bar, so next to this is the D bar. Next to displace the vector parallel to itself. This is the E bar. E bar. Then this closing side is in opposite order. This is the resultant of all these. Means, so we can write it is R bar equal to actually sum of the force in a closed loop is 0, means F bar plus B bar A bar plus B bar plus C bar plus D bar plus E bar minus R bar equal to 0. This is the resultant. So now the resultant equals to A bar plus B bar plus C bar plus D bar plus E bar. So this is the Polygon's law. So one more example. Sum of the force acting on a particle. All are coplanar forces. If these are the n coplanar force are acting, n minus 1th coplanar force gives the resultant of all these. Next to here also we consider 6 forces: F1 bar, F2 bar, F3 bar, F4 bar, F5, F6. And these are acting at a point. Then what is the net resultant force acting on the particle? So these are taken in along the 6 sides of a polygon, then gives the resultant of the sum of the force acting on the particle. So F1 is displaced like this. F2 is displaced like this. F3 is displaced. F4, F6, F5, F6. So F6 we displace like this. And what it gives? Algebraic sum of the force. It gives net force equals to 0. So that means F1 bar plus F2 bar plus F3 bar plus F4 bar plus F5 bar plus F6 bar is equal to 0. This is the Polygon's law of vector addition. So we are going to discuss condition for equilibrium and what is the equilibriant. So first equilibriant, a vector having same magnitude of the resultant of the forces but acting opposite direction. Vector having same magnitude of the resultant of the forces but acting to opposite to the resultant, that is called equilibriant. Suppose what is mean by equilibrium? Equilibrium means net force is 0. Suppose this is the body, so two forces are acting, F1 and let's say F2. Let's say its equilibrium is Fr. Fr is its equilibrium, a resultant force. Now what is its equilibriant? So in order to net force is 0, how much is the magnitude? Same magnitude is acting on the body, but in what direction it should be acting? In the opposite direction. This we call it is equilibriant. This is called equilibriant. Here, suppose only single force is acting on the body. Single force. So body is not in equilibrium. Not in equilibrium. So now when will be it in equilibrium? When two coplanar force are acting on a body, then the body is said to be in equilibrium. Let's say these are the two coplanar forces. So 10 newtons, in this direction also 10 newtons. Means we are applying force in opposite direction, same magnitude. Then what is net force acting on the body? So it's 0. That means to make the bodies in equilibrium, how many forces, minimum force are required? So two coplanar forces are required. Next, 3 coplanar unequal force can be make the bodies in equilibrium. Suppose this is the body, two forces are acting, F1 equal to 4 newtons, F2 equals to it's 5 newtons, 3 newtons. 3 newtons, the angle between them is 90 degrees. So, what is the resultant of these two forces? F equal to root over 4 square plus 3 square plus we can apply the parallelogram law of vector addition. F resultant equals to root over F1 square plus F2 square plus 2F1 F2 cos 90. Cos 90 becomes 0. So root over F1 square plus F2 square. Root over F1 square means 16 plus F2 square means 9. 16 plus 9 means root 25. It's a 5 newtons. So the resultant of these two forces is 5 newtons. But what is the equilibrium? F3 should be act on opposite direction. It's 5 newtons. So in this direction should be act. So we call it is this is called equilibrium. Now the body is in equilibrium. Net force is 0. That means 3 unequal 3, 4, 5 newtons can make the body in equilibrium. Next, last condition. 4 non-coplanars, equal unequal bodies can be act on the body, then the body can be in equilibrium. If 4 non-coplanar, either it may be equal or unequal, act on a body simultaneously, then the body may be in equilibrium. These are the equilibriums. First, single force cannot be in equilibrium. If single force acting on the body, it cannot be in equilibrium. So, to make the body in equilibrium, minimum 2 forces required, 2 equal forces are required, and 3 coplanar unequal force can act simultaneously on the body, then the body is in equilibrium. 4 non-coplanar equal or unequal bodies, unequal forces act on a simultaneously on a body, then the body is in equilibrium. Condition for zero resultant. Condition for zero resultant. Condition for zero resultant. So now what is the condition for equilibrium forces? Consider 3 vectors A bar, B bar and C bar are acting on a sides of a 3 sides of a triangle. This is the A bar. Now we displaced. Now we displaced in this direction B bar and C bar is in this direction. C is in this direction, it's a C bar. Then first condition for equilibrium, A plus B greater than or equal to C, and second one B plus C greater than or equal to A bar. Next, fourth one, C bar plus A bar is greater than or equals to its B bar. These are the 3 conditions. And one more condition is there. One more condition is there. So this is the P. This can be written as like this. Suppose P, Q, R are the 3 forces. 3 forces. So acting on a body. So condition for equilibrium, zero resultant, P plus q greater than or equals to r greater than or equals to p minus q. Suppose this is the resultant, then q plus r greater than or equals to p greater than or equals to q minus r or r minus q. Next, suppose this is the resultant, so p plus r greater than or equals to q greater than or equals to it's p minus r or r minus p. These are the three conditions for zero resultant. So see one example. So example, 3 newtons, 5 newtons, 10 newtons and 4 newtons, 7 newtons, 12 newtons. Third one, 2 newtons, 6 newtons, 5 newtons. Fourth one, 5 newtons, 8 newtons, 1 newtons is the first problem. Second problem, 2, 4, 8, 4, 8, 16. Third, 1, 2, 1. Fourth one, 1 by 2, 1, 2. These are the set of forces are acting on a set of 3 forces acting on a body or a particle simultaneously. So out of these, which set of force can make the body is in equilibrium? So we are in these two conditions, we can use any one of the condition. Let's say we can check it any one. First we are checking like this one. So first this is the resultant and these are the sum of the two forces. So 5 plus 10, 15 greater than 3 greater than 10 minus 5, it's a 5. Is it correct? 15 is greater than 3. 3 is greater than 5. Is not correct because 3 is less than 5. So this option is not possible. Next, this option. For this option, anyone we use the suppose this option we are using. This is the we are taking the resultant. So 4 plus 7. 11 greater than 12 greater than, it's 4 minus 7 minus 4, 3. So we have to take difference only, it's a difference, right. Now is it possible 11 greater than 12? Is absolutely wrong. So now we are checking this option. Here let's say any one of the force we have to take resultant. Let's say this is the force we are taking. See, if we are taking this is the resultant, means it's R. So R equals to 2. Now we add 11 greater than 2 greater than 5 minus 6 minus 5, 1. Yes. 11 is greater than 2 or not? Yes. 2 is greater than 1? Yes. This option is over. Let's say now we are in, this is the resultant. This is, we are taking the resultant. That means first we have to add 5 plus 2, 7 greater than 6 greater than 5 minus 2 means 3. This is also eligible. And now we are checking this. 5 is the resultant and these two are added, 8. Greater than 5, greater than 6 minus 2, 4. This is also okay. So all these conditions should be satisfied. This set of forces, that is the set of force should be is in acting on a body, then the body is said to be in equilibrium. So here also there are set of forces. Suppose this is we are going to checking. First this is the resultant force. So 2 plus 3, 2 plus 3, 2 plus 1, 3 greater than or equal to 1. Yes. Next to 2 minus 1 greater than or equals to 1. Greater than or equal. This condition is okay. Suppose this is the resultant force. 2 plus 1, 1 plus 1, 2 greater than or equal to. 2 greater than or equals to. And 1 minus 1, 0. This is okay. Either should be greater or lesser, equal. So next this is the resultant force. 2 plus 3 greater than or equals to 1, greater than or equals to 1. This is also okay. So this is the set of force required to make the body in equilibrium. Right, we are going to discuss Lami's theorem and tangent law. First, Lami's theorem. See the statement of Lami's theorem. If the resultant of three forces is 0, it states that the resultant of three forces is 0, then the magnitude of vector or force, magnitude of force is directly proportional to sine of the angle between the other two forces. This is the statement of Lami's theorem. Suppose this is the force is directly proportional to what? Sine of angle between other two forces. And if it is force, this force directly proportional to what? Sine of angle between the other forces. That means if the angle between the two forces is increases, this force is also increases. Now we can write it is F1 is the force directly proportional to sine angle, sine of angle. That means force by sine angle is equal to, then what happened? It's constant. Suppose this is the force. So what is sine of angle? Beta. F1 by sine beta is equal to otherwise we can write F1 by sine alpha, F2 by sine beta, F3 by sine gamma. This is the condition to form net force is in equilibrium. F net is in equilibrium. Okay. So now tangent law. What is the tangent law? Force directly proportional to length of arm in the direction of force. Suppose this, consider a length L of pendulum, bob of mass M. Now it is displaced from here to here x. So weight W is acting downward direction. In this direction we applied horizontal force. This direction tension. Now tension is resolved into two components. So tension makes an angle theta with vertical. Then this component is T cos theta and this component is T sin theta. T sin theta. So now we can write it is, suppose this is the force, T is the force, ABC, this is the B. T is the force. So force by, from this force by length of arm, corresponding arm, is equal to constant. This is the force T by it's what is the force OB equal to, suppose H is the force corresponding length BC, H by BC, and it's W by OC. So from these two we can write it is H by BC equal to W by OC. H equal to W into BC by OC. So H equal to, now we take tan theta. Tan theta equals to opposites BC by its OC. W is equals to it's tan theta. This is the tangent law. H equal to mg into tan theta. So otherwise we can write it is, we can write it's L right. These are the three problems. We had to find the tension in the strings by using the Lami's theorem. First problem, let's say this is the string 1, string 2. Sir, for both of them a bob of mass m is we suspended 3 newtons. So here is the knot 3 newtons. So net force acting in 0, that means is at equilibrium. Now what is the tension in the string? Tension in the string first and second. In the first we call it is tension T1. In the second tension T2 we are going to find. So first we have to find angle between them. So you take this like this. This is 30 degrees, 90. This becomes 60, and this becomes 90, and this becomes 90, and its total 180 means it's 120 degrees. Now this is the one force corresponding angle we call it is 90 degrees. This is another force corresponding up to, this is called beta, this is called 90 plus 60, it's 150 degrees. So this is the gamma, this is the force, and opposite is gamma equal to 120 degrees. So we know the Lami's theorem. Force, this is the force by sine of corresponding angle equals to, this is the force by sine of corresponding opposite between the two forces. So T1 by sine 90 equal to T2 by, if this is the force, the sine of angle between the other two forces. What is the other two forces? Sine 150 equal to, so 3 by, so what is the sine of angle between the other two forces? The angle between the other two forces is 120, sine 120. First we are comparing these two. Sine 120, sine 120, sine 90 plus 30. 90 plus 30. So 90 plus theta, second quadrant, sine becomes cos 30 root 3 by 2. And sine 150, sine 180 minus 30. This is also second quadrant. 180 sine does not change. Sine 30, this equals to 1 by 2. So now when we compare this, T1 by sine 90 means 1. 3 by sine 120 means root 3 by 2. This equal to 6 by root 3. This is the answer. Otherwise, 3 into 2 by root 3. So this equals to 2 root 3 newtons. Now we are comparing these two. So T2 by sine 150 means 1 by 2 divided by 3 by sine 120 root 3 by 2. So it's 2 cancel. And T2 equals to 3 by root 3, this becomes 3 root 3 newtons. So here also we can solve like this. This is the tension T1, tension T2. So this given 30 degrees, then what is here angle? It's 90, total angle is 90 plus 30, 120. This is the 90. And here total angle is 180. 180 minus 30, this gives 150. So same thing we got. So T2 by sine 150, first T1 by sine 90 equal to T2 by sine 150 W by we got a sine 120. This is the answer. So if OB, this is the OB, this is A. OB is 30 newtons. 30 newtons means T2 equals to 30 newtons. That means this is given. Now we have to find T1 is equals to how much, W equals to how much. So first we have to compare this, next we have to compare this. Next, whatever this, here also we have to find tension in the strings. Let's say it's tension T1, tension T2, we are extending. This is 60, it's 90. Then what is this angle? 30. And if it is 30, and what is the angle here? 90. Here 30 means here 60. This becomes 90. This becomes 90. Now we use T1, what is the opposite angle? 150, sine 150 equal to T2 by sine 90 equal to W means 40 by opposite angle. This is 90 plus 30 sine 120. First we compare this, then we got T1, next we compare this, then we get a T2.